Well, the creation of Tariel, I'm going to get scratched again. The creation of Evangeline's character, it came about in a very, I mean, it's almost like a scientific way, it's not very exciting, that in the book of the Hobbit, the storyline passes through the woodland realm, they escape in the barrels. Tolkien writes a little about the woodland king. He doesn't even name Andrew, I don't think, is named, but and so there are no other Elvish characters, and that's the Hobbit. That's what our primary source material was, and because there's no story in it, there's no actual kind of story. It's just an event. It's just like an event that happens along the way. But as we developed our scripts, the treatments at the beginning, we wanted to create an Elvish storyline. And the best way to have any storyline is to have three characters. You can't really create a storyline with two, you've really got to ideally have three. And so Fandral, as he was subsequently named, the Woodland King, we also learned that he had a son, Legolas, and that's why Orlando's back in the movie, because that's an obvious choice of two of the characters as the king and his son. But we needed that third, and it was a very cold-blooded decision to cast a female character, because elves are there's a lot of strength in the women within the elvish race. I mean, it's just like we just wanted to have a really great kick-ass chick, basically. Sorry. I just bad with it. So anyway, so that's how it came about. It really came about because we wanted to develop a storyline that emanated from the woodland realm and was able to sort of carry on through the film right the way through to the end. And so that we knew the three characters was essential for us. So.
And how is it playing someone who didn't have a reference in the books? Everyone had a reference to go off.
I thought that, aside from the fact that the fans were probably going to eat me for lunch, I had struck gold because nobody had a preconceived idea in their head of how I was supposed to look and behave, and so I had carte blanche. Really, nobody could tell me how Tariel should be other than Peter Jackson, Fred Walsh, and Philip Boyes. Whereas somebody like Martin, I just pitied that man. I mean, I found out he was cast, and I thought, what perfect casting. But how?
Well, you bought most of it, though, eventually, mostly. I mean, with Bilbo or any of those other characters, we form ideas from reading the book, and that really does send us on a particular course. But with Tariel, it's like we were hoping we'd come up with something good. It did come up with something fantastic. So it was great because it was a chance to see this a very different type of character that we used to see in these movies.
Yeah, I think that what we really wanted to create was a clear distinction between Tauriel, who was a low-caste elf, who was a woodland elf, and the high elves that you've seen in Lord of the Rings. And so I intentionally made sure I didn't rewatch Lord of the Rings, because if I had, because I'm so completely enthralled by Cate's performance in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I would have just tried to copy her. I wouldn't have been able to stop myself. So I made sure not to watch it, and so that whatever we did create would be completely unique to a woodland female warrior elf.
Hi, this is for any or all of the actors on the cast members on the panel. What aspect of your character will you miss the most now that the trilogy is finished filming? And also, if you wanted to add, what's probably the best perk in terms of memorabilia that you get to keep, or as a cast member?
I'm going to miss my elf.
I'm going to miss Peter Jackson's earlobes.
I won't even ask, don't worry.
Anyone else in terms of what you'll miss most in terms of the aspect of your character, playing that character, any personality traits or anything you have to do physically?
I think I'm going to miss Lake Town. I fell in love with that place. It was a very magical place to just inhabit for such a long period. And yeah, it was my home, and it really felt like home. And me and my 3 kids loved every scene we shot on it. So yeah, that's probably my fondest memory. Yeah, I do miss it. You got a memory thing?
Oh, I'm just going to miss the chance to do it again, actually, because what you got something you.
No, I have no. No. I'm just. We were just going.
No, because I think it was. Even though when I was in such a small part of the film, the 4 weeks that I spent the first time round were sort of game changing for me. I mean, I can say it. I wouldn't say it unless there were 1,000 people listening. But I mean, such a long time fan of Peter's work, so to work with him, and then to work on stories, and the stories have such a broad reach and such an impact, not only as films, but also just creatively what the team achieved. And then to go back 10 years later, you sometimes get to do that in Russian theatre, but you rarely get to do it in the film. It was just, I mean, that I know that will never happen again, so that makes me slightly sad. And old.
Actually, on kind of a similar note, for those of you reprising roles from the Lord of the Rings films, can you talk about your experience sort of working backwards with those characters and what kind of challenges you may be faced with going back in the timeline, but you have the same character?
Like a teenager match.
One of the conversations that I had with Pete and Philip when we were talking about it, about how Legolas it made sense for Legolas to be in Hobbit because of Brandy and the world and the hospital, but how would that, what would the art be and what would the story be? And actually, it was very liberating because, kind of as Evangeline mentioned, because Legolas doesn't feature in the story of the Hobbit in the books, in a way we were kind of able to create a character, go back and sort of create a backstory for Legolas, who then rocks up into that Fellowship of the Ring. And in a way it was, I mean, to their credit, to Pete and Fran and Philip's credit, they really thought that through. So I think you'll see at the end how these characters, the through line of all 6 movies, is what you'll get from the characters, and it was really liberating.
Well, no, I think that also, I mean, I think because you've got the confidence and the fan base of the films, which some of which were originally fans of the book, obviously, but then there's people who are fans of what the team has done. And what I think is really great about what The Hobbit has achieved is there are many, many great works of literature, but you've got to make them into movies, and they have to exist in their own right. And I think there's so much invention in The Hobbit. So they've really embraced the fact that they are, first and foremost, the film story around those characters and around that world. And so I think that the creative riff that Fran and Philippa and Peter have had, and everyone has been, for me as an audience member, incredibly exciting.
Outside of Stephen Colbert, who made a point of showing everyone up the story, Pete and Philippa really are sort of the authority on this world since J.R.R. Tolkien's. I mean, in many ways. I mean,
Philippa is the authority.
Well, Philippa.
My grandson.
But in a way, they tend to bring that vision like to this.
I mean, the weird thing with I found. I mean, no, the question was, I'm sorry, I'm rude. About the returning characters is just I cannot believe the characters that since we saw Legolas or Galadriel or Gandalf last, there's been toys made, action figures and dolls and lunchboxes and all that sort of stuff, and so suddenly they're walking onto the set. It's like something out of pop culture, just coming on, which didn't happen with the other characters, the new characters. As the new characters came on, they were not accompanied by that by that stuff. But the returning characters, they're not just returning from a sort of a forgotten, little movie 10 years ago. They're sort of bringing this pop culture with them, as it were, and that's sort of it was I still thought it was kind of a blink to look up and see Benedict or Regulus or Cameron on set. I mean, it to me was, I never thought I'd see that again in my life ever, so.
I just want to say also, I know for Fran and I, one of the moments that we most wanted to write was Galadriel taking on the Sauron, because she is the most powerful force on the earth. There's only one person who can do this. And so we were really, really excited to be able to do that, because she brings amazing feminine energy, which is original to J.R. Tolkien. Yeah, well, we don't know. But it was one of the bits of writing that we most look forward to.
Thank you.
My question is primarily for Pete, but anybody should feel free to step in below. Pete, 10 years later, you have a lot of tools that you didn't have technologically, and here you are making a big battle movie again. How do you not upstage yourself? You have the ability perhaps to go bigger and do things you couldn't do previously. How do you not make this bigger than Eleanor Fields? Or do you?
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, it really was ever the intention of saying, looking at Eleanor Fields and the statistics and all that, making it bigger. It was really just following our story. I mean, it was, the battle was part of the storyline of the arc of the characters. So they just about everybody ends up in different ways participating in this major battle at the end of the movie. So it was, you're always just thinking of the arcs and the characters. I mean, the technology is, I can talk a little bit, very briefly, I'll try and get fast about the technology part of it though, is that the one thing I can do now, which I'm having a lot of fun with at the moment, is whether we do performance capture or we do animation of a sequence in the battle, say you've got, 500 of these guys up on climb up a wall and something smashes through and there's all, the sort of thing. If we do, a 20-30 second piece of animation, performance capture, on that, I can then I can walk onto a stage about the size of this room here, and I can film it myself with a virtual camera, which I absolutely love doing. I did it a little bit last year with the Dragon stuff at the end of the last film, and this year I'm filming all the battle stuff single-handedly, just like my Super 8 days, one person in a room. It's great. I do have a few weather backup people, I must say, but it's sort of a very creative way of doing it, because I then can be, I can stand, in the middle of the performance capture stage with a plastic box, which is not really a camera, but it's supposed to be a camera, and I'm holding it, and I've got a screen, and I can see what it's filming, and I can get different angles and different lenses and walk around and get different perspectives on this sort of battle. So there's a whole level of creativity that is still going on. I'll be doing it. I was doing it last week. I'll be doing it next week. So I get to actually be right in the midst of this huge battle, sort of filming it myself. It's like a combat cameraman. So I'm enjoying that. That's cool.
All right.
Thank you all.